Welcome back to the United Stand. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching around the world. I'm Terry Flewers from the Football Terrace here for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Loads to unpack today with Man United's midfield targets being revealed in the media. We, of course, want to get your opinions on those stories, those links, the quality of the players, how you think they will fit into Ruben Amorim and Ineos's new footballing philosophy at the club. We're also taking a look at the Arsenal game last night. And does the Arsenal win, their squad building, blow a big hole in the Ineos approach to Manchester United, or the reported approach that Ineos have towards Manchester United? Plus, there's a few big stories that have come out today from Paul Pogba and from Nemanja Matic about their time at United, what damaged things for them, what they didn't expect, and why maybe things went a little bit wrong. And I've seen Mark tweet about them today, and he's got a bit of a pushback against Nemanja Matic in terms of understanding what was going on at the club at the time. Equally, I think there's other sides to this as well. So we're going to be going through all of that. Looking forward to hearing what you've all got to say in relation to this as well. Good morning, Rob. Hello to you too. Hello to John. John LQ. Big up yourself. Hope you're well. Asim here says Terry Bridge. Good morning to Brian, one of the members here. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it a lot. This here says, to be fair, Arsenal deserved that. Could have been 6-0. Yeah, Arsenal were ridiculously good last night. Ridiculously good. And I enjoyed it as a football fan. I'm not going to lie. As a football fan, I enjoyed it. And Arsenal's growth in the last few years does give me quite a bit of hope. It shows you that you can turn things around, but it also proves you're not going to do it overnight. Whether it be Nottingham Forest's rise to where they are now, what Aston Villa have done since being relegated, Arsenal battering Real Madrid in a Champions League game. None of them have reached the absolute pinnacle yet, or the end destination. But also none of them did it just by changing manager or buying one superstar. All of these things have been built over a number of years to get to this point. Patience is going to be required, along with constructive criticism. On that, though, it brings us into the first story of the day, and an article here that states, I'm going to read it for you verbatim. It says that Man United are ready to sign Ederson. Now, that is the central midfielder, not the goalkeeper, in case anyone's just listening to the audio of this. If they succeed in bagging a place in next season's Champions League. According to sports sources at Give Me Sport, and by the way, I know a lot of people at Give Me Sport. They've got a lot of top journalists now that work from over there. They have Ben Jacobs, they have Dean Jones, Fabrizio Romano. It says here, as Ruben Amorim is determined to find a new midfield partner for Ugarte amid lingering doubts over the academy graduate Kobbie Mainoo's future. And that's the bit about the article that when I read it frustrated me. Because when you listen to a lot of sources close to Manchester United, they keep playing down this rift and problem, this worry about Kobbie signing a new deal. I think Kobbie Mainoo staying. However, I still think we should be looking at an additional midfield player. Ederson is an individual that I've seen a lot of people linked to. I've seen a lot of fans like. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you all. I don't know too much about him. I don't know. I've read stuff. I've read some brilliant scouting reports. I've seen a lot of people give him a lot of hype and a lot of appreciation across social media. But I haven't personally watched him at length to sit here and give you a comprehensive opinion on him. And I will never lie and pretend that I have. I won't pass off somebody else's scouting report like it's my own. I'd love to get your opinions on that. Right? I'd love to sort of garnish this content today on the United Stand with your opinions on him. Would you like him? And maybe we can get a poll running as well. Is he of United standard? And when I say of United standard, not now, not where we are, but where we want to be. Give us your thoughts and give us your opinions on that. This here from Hazra says, sell Kobbie. I think you're a fool. I think you're a fool to have that opinion. And if that sounds offensive, I apologize. Maybe I'll rephrase it. That opinion is foolish. Did any of you watch the footage recently that has come out from the final of the Euros, where Spain, a big part of their tactical plan was we have to stop Mainoo, otherwise we won't stop England. So when I see things like that, my straight away, it just objectively, if Spain with their team, with their midfield, with their quality, if they have to have a plan to stop Mainu, I think sometimes as English football fans, and I don't mean the nationality that you or I are, I mean people that consume English football regularly, players like Kobbie Mainoo are often so underappreciated. It's unbelievable for me. This here from Savage says, Ederson, I take him in a heartbeat, but so will a lot of clubs. And look, that's absolutely right. That is absolutely right for me, that it's one of those things where it's going to be a very hard player, in my opinion, for Manchester United to sign. But again, what I like about him, the element of his profile that I like, is that he's 25. And Mark has called this out a lot. And I understand why Mark's done it. That we're linked to too many kids. That strategy isn't going to work. I agree right now that I don't want to mimic the Chelsea approach of the last couple of years, predominantly just buying kids. We need experience, more kids. We need an experienced player, Todd. All right, no worries. Let's go and get you another kid. I don't want that approach. I want balance. We were linked to Cunha yesterday. Would love him at the club. Again, 25, turning 26. Turns 26 in the summer, Ederson. Again, it would blow the myth out the water that we're only going to sign kids. And I would just love that concern, that worry, that element of criticism to dissipate, to be gone instantly this summer. So that element of this deal, I really do like. This here says, people forget what Mainoo did last season. He looked more experienced than Bruno and Casemiro last season. I don't think you know football if you want to sell Mainoo. Yeah, listen, I agree. I don't want it. I think it'd be crazy to want him gone right now. Back to this story here. This here says, Ederson at 25, his contract runs out in 2 years. So this might be the summer that Atalanta cash in. We have a good history with them on the Ahmad and the Rasmus deal as well. And I think that that's a really interesting point for Man United. We have a good relationship with Atalanta. If they're going to sell him, now's the time. Now they're still going to get a decent amount of money for this midfielder. If you give it another year, the value is going to drop. I do have a feeling he'll go. But as we've seen, Manchester City, amongst other clubs, have also been linked with him as well. This comment here is interesting. Where's it gone? Where's it gone here? It says, this is from Anton, who says, I'd rather sell Garnacho than Kobbie and replace him with a proper 10, whereas Kobbie can develop more. If I had to choose, I'd be picking Garnacho to leave over Kobbie if I was forced into that position. But a big report from Italy today has stated that Napoli still hold an interest in Garnacho. And my question to you, the audience, is, would it be the right time to sell him? We've got to try and raise money to fund deals for the likes of Cunha, 62 million, the likes of Ederson, who, by the way, you throw those two players into our team, and I think we go up a level. Is now the right time for Garnacho to be sold to help fund that top quality, high performing, multi-functioning players to come into this side and help take us to the next level? Would you look to do that? For me, I think I would. I think I would sell Garnacho now if we need to sell to raise some money. Mainoo is a no for me. It really is a no, subjectively speaking. I think there is a phenomenal player in there that we are going to witness. I'm still intrigued to see Mainoo play more in this kind of 10 role. He looked excellent for a game or two and then got injured. I'd love to see him given an opportunity. He's going to be back very soon. I hope he's back for the Lyon game and delivers in that. But if selling someone like Garnacho means we could get a Cunha, means we could bring in a player of that level, help fund an Ederson for the central midfield area, some more experience, because I still wouldn't build the team around Kobbie Mainoo. I wouldn't do it. He's still too young. He's 19 years of age. He's still got years of development. I still want to use him sparingly at times when we have to. I don't want to run his body into the ground too young and too early. I want a nice balance in there. But I'd love to hear from some of you on this now. We'll go to some of your comments, actually. This here from Calum says, I think the sensible thing to do is sell Garnacho now. However, I think he has the profile and qualities to be one of the best in the world in years to come, and think we'll look back and regret it. That's also, listen, Man United will only regret it if we don't rise up. We will only regret it if we fall off. We will only regret it if our levels drop as individuals. Sorry, as a club. And if the individuals we sign are poor, 100% will regret that. There's just no chance we won't. There's no chance we won't. If he reaches the top, he's winning leagues, winning Champions Leagues, killing it. And yet we're sitting 10th in the league. The players that replace him have been awful. We'll regret it. But there's always that risk. There is always that gamble when you make those decisions. I remember Man United fans when we got rid of Beckham and got Ronaldo. What if it doesn't work? What if this young man can't step into his shoes? Went the other way. And I suppose that's about having faith in the way your club is run. And a lot of people don't have that yet, which is why I think if we could land Ederson's, if we could land Cunha's, it may change things slightly. But again, I'd love to get your views and opinions on that. Where would Cunha play, as a 9 or as a 10? Here, he is actually top quality for 62 million. For me, I think he would play on one of our 10 roles. But I always say this, Luke. I don't focus so much on a football team in terms of the positions you see on the graphics on TV. For me, it's more about where they drift and where they pick the ball up in real time. An example I would give you, if you look at Bruno in the predominantly his time at United, if you look at the formations that City and Arsenal play, often you wouldn't see KDB, Bruno, and Odegaard on the TV screen when the graphics come up in the same position. When you look at their heat maps, they're almost identical to each other because in the game, they pick up the same positions. So for me, Cunha for me is a bit more of a central. So when you see, for instance, Garnacho playing that 10 role, he likes to drift out into those wide positions, especially when he's on the right-hand side. I think Cunha would be a little bit more central for us. So then it's about getting the balance. That means we're going to have to have very strong fullbacks, as an example. And it means we need a number 9 who is comfortable drifting out into the channels, because you're going to need that versatility in movement to help create space. So it's about getting that balance right for me personally. Let's have a look here. Ederson and Cunha help the youth. We have to be better. We have to have better players for the people to look up to, is what Luke says here. You're spot on. You're spot on. You have to have that experience and that know-how. And just as this is a men's sports, we'll speak about men for a moment here, because I think women mature earlier. Like adult men, getting a bit scientific here, your frontal lobe for decision making and thought doesn't fully develop until you're between 24 and 26. So as technically gifted as a footballer you can be, as mature as a young man as you can be, you become a different human being from your mid-20s onwards when it comes to the way you think and feel. So when it comes to managing the emotions, the ups and downs of a season, the pressures, when you have a dressing room that's full of too many youngsters, you don't have that natural maturity and life experience to help manage it. And it can't always be the coaches. It can't always be the manager. You listen to the stories from some of the best teams ever at United, Barca, Liverpool, City. You'll hear their managers or their ex-managers by then speak. The way the club and team self-police is imperative. And every now and then you get a youngster that's amazing at it. Declan Rice, I hear at West Ham, even as a kid, was brilliant. But by and large, it's the older, more mature, more experienced individuals that help knit that together. It's such an important and undervalued attribute, if you like, in the modern day game. It really, really is. Deep here says we should bring in a CM who is athletic, can run for 90 minutes and bring experience, who's between 24 and 27 years old. Like Ederson, who is 25. I think we should give Garnacho one last chance next season, one last chance to shine. Look, I also understand that train of thought as well. It's a really good comment, because as much as I'd be happy to see him go, I'm open-minded to the fact that if you bring in that midfielder, you bring in a Cunha, we bring in a brilliant number 9, we add in another fullback, we bring in a world-class goalkeeper who stops us leaking some very simplistic goals. Maybe then you look at it and go, well, maybe then Garnacho starts to thrive more because that experience and that quality is in there. However, if we are going out in the market to buy a lot of youngsters, if that's the strategy, maybe we have to move a few on. You know, I think it really depends on the overarching strategy there, but great point. We have a few super chats here. Patrick Lynch Says, morning, Terry. Something to remember is that United will always be linked to everyone, especially British players, as that is what sells in the mainstream. I'm taking most stories with a pinch of salt. I always think that's sensible when it comes to transfers. To not take, maybe not take it with a pinch of salt. I look at it this way. I read the stories and I kind of bank them. Okay, well, I remember that one. What I will say is, though, is that very rarely some journalists aren't real. There's a Spanish publication. I can't remember what it's called, fajitas or something, right? Beef fajitas. They just make stories up, in my personal opinion. But is it likely Man United are looking at Ederson, talking to his people, doing some due diligence? Yes. But we should be talking to 3 or 4 midfielders, 3 or 4 strikers, 3 or 4 10s, 3 or 4 fullbacks, 3 or 4 goalies. Therefore, if you look at 4 positions and at least 4 people we should be talking to, doing due diligence on, you're suddenly in the realm of 16 links, right? So you're going to see all these stories, because what will happen is maybe Man United are only half serious about Ederson. Okay, well, he's number 3 on our list, but we're going to start talking to him in case number 1 and 2 fall off. Ederson's agent might see this and go, right, I know, though, that City are more serious than Man United, but we want to speed up those conversations. So I'm going to leak the story that United are interested to speed City up. And that can go on and happen and go. And I think that's why it's important for fans to not treat the media like they're a monolith. I often see fans go, there's no way we could be in for him because this journalist said we were in for that person and this journalist said this. It's about reading between the lines. So I like what you said there. Rob here says, I'd like to see Cunha as a 10, Terry. Yeah, I'd like to see him play in that role as well. It's hard for me to speak about Ederson because I haven't watched him play enough. I haven't watched him regularly enough to go, he's that guy, this is what he would do. To speak sort of as a sort of first, as like a primary source on the matter. I'd love to get your views. James here says, loving these shows, Terry. I think Ederson will go elsewhere, sadly. I'd look for a cheaper option. Like, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Is it Grashy from Brugge? Or is it, I would say, is that? Okay, yes. Sorry, my dyslexia is, my brain has gone. And keep space for Mainu. I still think he can run games from the pivot. I'd like to see him do that. Who's this player that you've mentioned? Sometimes I have to see the face of a player and then I remember who they are. He's a Swiss footballer. And it is Club Bruges, but everyone says you've got to say Brugge. Is it Brugge? Brugge? I've been to Bruges. It's lovely. One of the nicest places in the world I've ever been. I went to there's this square I went to where they filmed in Bruges, where the guy falls out, the Colin Farrell. Great movie. He's 22 years of age. I don't know much about him. I'm going to take a little look. I'll take a little look. I must have seen him play this year because I've watched Club Brugge 3 or 4 times and they play quite well. So, but maybe his name didn't stand out to me. So I'll go and have a look. I'll always do that, by the way. If I don't know who a player is, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I can't do it. I'll take your word on this. Let's take a little look here. The trouble with Cunha is he is Brazilian. Every Brazilian has flopped. Has every Brazilian flopped at United? Rafael did well, I felt. But yeah, maybe you make a good point. But when's the last time we bought a Brazilian who's got a European pedigree already? Don't know. Brazilians to play for Man United. Let's have a little look here. It's a really good comment you made there. What Brazilian? Let's have a little look. Oh, yeah, Anthony. Well, Anthony. I forgot he's, that's how bad he is. I forgot he's Brazilian. Alex Tellez. Fred, yeah, no, listen, do you know what's really funny? I actually forget some of these men are Brazilian. Casemiro. Yeah, but I think, Casemiro's not a flop, though, for me. My brain went. I was like, who are these Brazilians we signed? Yeah, do you know what it was? I was thinking about the flops. And I really don't consider Anthony, Andreas Pereira, I'm looking at this list here, Fred, as Brazilians. I know that sounds harsh, but they're not. But Casemiro's not been a flop for me. We just bought him at the stage of his career that he's at. I wouldn't necessarily call him a flop. I think he's had some very good games in his first season, pivotal to us winning a trophy. So I wouldn't call him a flop. Rafael da Silva, I really liked as a player. Fred, I just think we misprofiled him, but decent player for us, Fred. Decent player. Who else though? Anthony flop. He ain't Brazilian though, so I'm not taking an L on that. Alex Telles, listen, I forgot he played for us. Andres Pereira, again, it's just not Brazilian in my opinion, but there we go. That's just my view on it. Yeah, fake Brazilians. That's how it is. Listen, I remember Kleberson. Of course, I remember signing Kleberson. But yeah, you've got to break the mold though. At some point, I wouldn't not sign Cunha because other Brazilians have fouled. I wouldn't personally do that, but that's just me. That is just me. Anderson will do. Yeah, I think again, Anderson was a good signing. The problem with Anderson, he's just done his cruise shit like 2 or 3 times and he fell off and he ate too many crisps and KFC. But aside from that, Anderson was all right. I wouldn't put him in the flop category though, Anderson. Maybe slightly underachieved, but I wouldn't put him in the Anthony or like the Anthony category of Brazilians at the club personally. But maybe I'm being a little bit biased. Admin had an Anderson shirt, didn't live up to that. I had an Anderson shirt actually. It was like the black, I think it was 08-09 season. It was like a beautiful black kit that had like the stripe, the line down the back. That was Anderson. I had the Anderson kit. I had that and I liked Anderson. Andreas Pereira was born in Belgium and played for us when he was very young. Do you know what as well? That's why I'm also confused with Pereira because I sometimes forget what nation he plays for. I'm not going to lie. Mainly because I don't really study his career. But yeah, when I was a kid, I was a younger man. I wasn't a kid. I used to play FM. And he was always Belgium on that. So it took me years to realize he was now playing for Brazil. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that one. Look, do us a big favor, people, and get the like button hit right now. Let's get 1,000 likes on this video. Let's get it done. You love the United stand. You should be hitting the like button. You need to get that done for us, people. No way. FIFA 16 basically pumped him up to 99 in his first season. How dare you call him a flop? Ineos will slowly change all players to UK passport holders, then get Southgate to manage them. Look, there's criticism of Ineos that needs to exist. But this idea that they're like, because the owner voted Brexit, his first major signing weren't English. We're not going to do this narrative again that we did under Ollie. Ollie only wants British players. I think 80 to 85% of his signings were non-British. if not more, it's just a sad narrative that will not play out. It just will not play out at all. What do you make of what Arsenal did last night? And the reason why I'm bringing up Arsenal is Mark and I were talking, and I saw some of Mark's tweets as well. And it was very much Sir Jim Ratcliffe, take note. Declan Rice showed you why you've got to spend big. Declan Rice showed you why you can't just rely on developing youth by itself. There has to be this balance of developing youth and big quality signings. And everyone's going to have a difference of opinion on what quality signings are. So some may think that Cunha is levels. Ederson is the midfielder that Manchester United need to get back to the next level. But what do you make of what Marcus said? And what do you make of the message that Arsenal sent out last night? 2 owners like ours. Scrimping and scraping, is it the right way to do it? Or do you have to put your money, your hand in your pocket? Or does the big spending come later? You've got to remember, they weren't in the first 2 or 3 seasons signing Declan Rice at £100 million. How do you view it and how do you see it? And how can United learn from this? I don't mean copy Arsenal. I'm saying learn from it, do our own thing, but make sure there's balance to the squad building. I think it's a really good point that Mark raised. I really, really do think it's an excellent point that he raised because we have less time. There'll be less patience from the media, less patience from our fans, less patience from everybody when it comes to what we're doing. Let me know in the comments section. I've said it for a while. Let me know in the comments section. But for me, that's why I'd love our first signing or two to be of the Ederson Cunha ilk. And I'm talking quality, experience, age. So I think it would blow the myth out the water that we're only buying kids. It would also show the Ineos. It would also show that Amorim and everybody involved truly want to get us back to the top sooner rather than later. Not, we built a squad of 20-year-olds. In 5 years' time, we're going to be amazing. I'd love to get your thoughts and get your opinions on that. This here says exactly why we need experienced, ready-to-go players. I think there's got to be a mixture, because that is, for me, like when I think about Man United's approach to transfers, that for me is almost the epitome of it. It's that balance. It's that mixture. You want some obscure signings, a little bit unknown that nobody's aware of yet. They can be young. They can be in their early 20s. They're relatively cheap, and they explode. We should have gone and got Caicedo. Should be a Man United player and cost us £4 million as an example. There are youngsters you can sign, like your Heavens of this world, your Dorgus. At the same time, I still think you need that experience. So I feel fans have got to be balanced in their criticism. And at the same time, the most important thing is that we profile correctly, is that we don't chase a Frankie de Jong all summer and then sign a Casemiro. That then means that the manager is going to have to change his approach. And that's not what we want. And that isn't because I think Casemiro has been a bad signing. I really don't. We've actually seen him look pretty good again recently. Why? Because the manager, as in Ruben Amorim, has looked at the quality attributes that Cas has and gone, right, this is your role within the system. This will cover up your deficiencies and your age, and it will enhance your strengths. And this is what we need to do more of as a football club. And we have fouled for 12 years. We have fouled in most transfer windows by and large because we've missed profile players that don't fit our system, or we've signed the wrong profile for what we're trying to build. You know, and we've got to get that right for me. This here from Mike says, what Mark has been saying about the game going soft is true. Can you remember when Keown practically punched Rude in the back of the head? That's a red now. Oh, look, he got banned for it retrospectively at the time, so it's always been against the rules. I know Mark got a lot of stick the other day online because he said that people should stop moaning about the Phil Foden chant as an example. I wouldn't personally sing the chant, but some do. My issue with it is this. I've heard vile songs towards Man United my entire life. And some will say singing about someone's mother is vile. And let's just say we agree with that for a moment as a collective. I agree. I wouldn't do it. But the fan base moaning have individuals in their fan base that still to this day mock the Munich disaster. So for me, my message to Pep is, you can be upset by it. That's your choice. But I'm only going to take your cries seriously, your complaints seriously, when I hear you condemn your own for vile and horrible chants. That's it for me. That's it. Like, self-police first. Doesn't mean I'm saying let's all chant that every week to a player, but I'm stating you got to have your own house in order to begin with. The problem is with calling that out individually is you're standing in a gargantuan glass house throwing fucking boulders. I'm sorry to swear. It's not my channel. I apologize. But you're throwing these boulders around. And that's the bit that annoyed me. You're allowed to be offended by it. That's your choice. And I'm not saying you have to change how you feel, but keep that same energy. The next time Munich or Hillsborough are mocked, as an example, the next time a player is mocked or a family member of a player is mocked by your supporters, come out with the same energy. That's my only message to it. This year from Patrick Super Chat says, balance of youth and experience is essential. Buying youth is future-proofing the team, but that future depends on the base that you give the youth. That is why you need experience as well. Listen, it's a great point, and I think even more importantly, that base is the foundation. And the foundation is how you play football. And that has to now be the same at academy level right through to the first team of the men's side. And ironically, because I know he's not at the club anymore, but I heard Dan Ashworth speak about this at Brighton. Brighton are never going to have the money in any of our lifetimes to compete with Man City, with Man United, with Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. They're looking to build, but they're never going to get to that point. Never going to happen in our lifetime. Could happen in the future. Their approach to how they build their club is beautiful. He basically said, and it wasn't his vision, he just helped to run it for a while. Every team, male and female, at Brighton, from the under 8s through to the first team, the brand of football is by and large the same. The foundation is by and large the same. So every time you step up a level or an A's category, it's not an alien world to you. Equally, when they loan players out, they find clubs that have a similar base, a similar foundation, so their development continues. Man United for years, because I used to watch the academy regularly, the way our academy played versus how LVG or Jose or Ollie had us playing was night and day. So we'd promote a youngster, he'd suddenly be coached differently and told to play a different brand of football to what he was used to for the last 5 years. And that, for me, is the key component. The club needs a footballing philosophy that lives beyond any manager, that lives beyond any head coach of the first team. The club's approach has to be the most integral and strongest element. It's the heartbeat. And listen, you can go and get new teeth in Turkey. You can get a new hairline like I did. Get to the gym and get your body in good working order. You can get your knee fixed because you got cartilage damage from playing football. Your shoulder's been thrown out because you're an old man. Get your shoulder rebuilt. All of that's brilliant. But if you don't take care of your heart and that goes, you're finished, my friend. And the heart of the club is what is so important. It really, really is. And that balance is needed. Let's have a little look here. We've had 5 different managers who play completely different styles of play. Of course, and that's been the biggest problem at the club. The chopping, and no wonder players like Rashford's and Garnacho's and many before them have struggled. Because every couple of years we change. Imagine you start a job. Imagine I don't matter what the job is, right? But I'll use an example. You join a bank, like I did as a young man. And every 18 months, they change how they want you to approach customers, the types of products they sell, the right way to sell them, the way they target you, the way they want you to dress, and what they think is the professional way to behave. Say every 18 months, there was U-turns being made on that. There's no way within a decade you were going to be a top-level rounded performer. You're probably going to be so disillusioned by then that you've stopped trying as hard. There needs to be continuity. And that's one of the biggest things we've missed for years. So I love the links to Edison's. You know, a lot of you in the comments today have spoke about how good he is. I'm going to take your word on that. I'm going to do some more research. I love the idea of Cunha. But for me, more than signing the players, signing the youth players, promoting people, there has to be a base and a structure at the club. I actually believe we're starting to do that. I believe we're starting to do it as a club. And it's why I'm quite excited about the future. I still hold reservations. I'm still nervous about certain elements. But there, for me, I think we'll see us improve. And that is how you get back to winning. Have I missed any of these super chats here? No, all the super chats have been done. There was one comment here that says, excuse me, you're not Mark. No, I'm not Mark Goldbridge. I know. I'm very aware. I'm very, very aware of who I am, which is good. Tracy Taylor here, a member and a super chat. Thank you. Says, good morning, Terry. Great show. Pepper said about songs towards players. What about songs and signs towards Beckham after the World Cup? Look, the one thing I would say is this. Pep Guardiola isn't accountable for people that held up horrible signs or sung horrible things about Beckham in 1998 and 1999. That was 26, 27 years ago. So I wouldn't do that correlation myself. However, your point holds water based on what I was saying earlier. I still hear, I still see content, videos appear every year over the last 3 or 4 where I've seen, it's not everybody, by the way, it wasn't every single Man United fan singing that song, by the way, even in the stadium, let alone condoning it around the world. My point is this. I only really take people seriously in these moments if they keep the same energy for their own. So the next time a City fan is accused of, abusing a player on the pitch, or there's some nasty songs that are being sung about another team or another player, I hope to see Pep Guardiola, if a video comes out of City fans on the way to a game on a bus singing about Munich, singing about Hillsborough, singing something derogatory about Mo Salah, saying something derogatory about Saka, I expect to see Pep say, this is unacceptable for us as a football club. We should not be doing it. That's all I'm asking for. If you are offended by these types of songs, that is your right to be offended. But I want you to keep the same energy. I don't just want to hear it when it goes in one direction and suits your purpose. That, for me, is bordering on virtue signaling. Keep the same energy or keep stumm is my view on that, personally. We should be going for, I can't ever pronounce his name, the central midfielder at Sporting, the Danish guy. What a star he is going to be and will take us up a level. Yeah, how do you pronounce that name? Genuinely, how do you pronounce that name? So I have to put music on my phone instead of clicking on this link. Can someone break it down and type it out? I actually don't know how to say it. Yeah, do you know what? See, put that up, United stand, put it up on the screen. Right, I want to explain something to you when it comes to being dyslexic. When when my dyslexia works is like I can't. I probably should teach myself phonetics. That don't work because I can't say the first bit. And when I was younger, I was so sensitive about it. As I've got older, I've just realized just embrace it and tell people, and everyone's quite nice about it. Okay. This one helps more, right? Put up Sam Brock's. So that reads to me like Yulman. Yulman. Am I saying that right? Is it Yulman? And B cool's pretty good. Yulman. Do you pronounce a D or is a D silent? Yulman. I should probably just buy. Do you know what I should do? I should buy him on FIFA so I hear his name regularly when I play. That's what I'm gonna do. Hulman. The D is silent. Like hard. Okay, cool. I hear you. Someone says well said. That's well said. It's pronounced Yulman. Okay, Yulman, I get that. That's how I need it. There, Tactical Devils. When I see a word I can't spell, or sorry, I can't pronounce because of my brain, it needs to be spelled out. Like that's how I write names down sometimes when I'm doing notes for shows. I'll write their name out how it sounds to me. But yeah, that makes sense. Gilman. Yeah, very good. I know who he is. Very good player. I really do like him. I really, really do like him. So yeah, that's great. I want to touch on a few other stories as well before the end of the show. First one here, it did my head in a little bit this morning, was Nemanja Matic saying, I arrived at United with the anger to win trophies like I had at Chelsea. But step by step, I started to feel the trophies were not the focus. What do you make of this comment from Nemanja Matic? I may have just called him Vidic, but Nemanja Matic. I get where he's coming from. He turns up, he thinks it's Man United, Jose's there, and slowly but surely he thinks, oh my God, they're not trying to win trophies. They're a commercial club. The standards aren't high. The drive to win and succeed isn't matched at every level of the club. At the same time, I do think to myself, what rock were you living under? How did you and your agent, and by the way, you were friends with Jose Mourinho, how did you not know this? Or did your agent and Jose lie to you? Because 10 minutes of research would have shown you that by the time you signed, even, what was that, 2015 or 2016? Man United were already failing. Man United were already falling away. There was already major problems. Not as bad as it's been up until recent times. But I did think to myself, what rock, what planet were you living on, Matic? And that's not a dig as you as a footballer. I thought you were a very, very, very good football player. The summer of 2017, he arrived. Jesus Christ, right after the Europa League win. So maybe then he viewed it and thought to himself, well, we've just won the Europa League. We've just won a League Cup. Jose's here. We're going to go to the next level. But the issue I have with that, I suppose, still, is we as fans were very skeptical. And Jose has now spoken about how he knew almost straight away there was problems. Does that make sense? Previous managers, not so much Moisey, but LVG have spoken of the issues. This is public information. And I feel as a footballer, and maybe they don't do this enough. So in fairness to Matic, maybe not a lot of this is going on where they're doing their own, they're not getting their agents to do the right due diligence. I'd want to know what's going on at the club, what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, they've just won some trophies, but is that papering over cracks? There are many a Chelsea fan I know that come on my channel, The Football Terrace, and will tell you this, that the Champions League win under Tuchel, as beautiful, as brilliant, as fantastic, and as amazing as they found it, they felt it was papering over big cracks at the club. And I think players have got to do their due diligence. On the other side of this, though, I'm not surprised to hear it. Why? Because we all knew this has been going on. And this is why I look at the way the club is run, and all clubs, the way they're run. They're at least as important as how good your manager or head coach is, but potentially even more important in the modern day game. Because if you're bored, if the people that make your footballing decisions at its core, if their sole and or main focus, top priority, more so than sole focus, because you need to back up this up with commerciality. But if your main focus isn't to be the best football team in the world and win trophies, you're always going to fall short. If turning a profit, if making the club more value, I don't even think it was about making the profits year on year like a normal business. If the main target is to make the club more valuable so you can sell it for exorbitant amounts of money in future, if winning the trophies isn't a key component in that happening, you're always going to be on the road to ruin. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And this was coupled, again, a similar story coming out about Paul Pogba today. I'm going to read this to you. And Paul Pogba here said on what went wrong with his relationship with Jose, I understand what was happening. I was a key player and suddenly I was on the bench. There was no communication. I couldn't talk. I wasn't happy. And a footballer who isn't happy can't perform well. I also fell into depression without even realizing it. Nobody teaches you what depression is until one day I started getting bald spots on my scalp. I didn't understand what it was. They told me it was stress. Now, this is the thing for me when it comes to this interview that's been put out here. A lot of people don't like Paul Pogba. And again, that's your choice. I loved him as a player. I never thought he was this virus that Jose made him out to be. But you see the key problem here? Let's put Jose and Pogba aside. It's how we're run. Jose may have felt what he was doing was correct. Pogba is stating, I had no idea what I'd done wrong, and I was being ostracized and dropped, and I was unhappy. And that is what led to him and his agent talking to other clubs, and it led to a long period of time where there was turmoil between the club and the player. The Glazers actually backed Pogba because Jose wanted to sell him, and the club said no. And that, for me, was the biggest problem here. Had Pogba been allowed to just move on, it never would have become toxic for him at the club. And this is where you need key, top quality decision makers. Because Amorim is going to fall out with players. Players are going to fall out with Amorim. It's going to happen. But it's about the people that run your club being of the highest caliber possible to recognize the situation and to get the correct decisions in. It should have been, this is a hypothetical because I wasn't in the room. But it could be, Jose, you need to, great, you don't want Pogba in the team, fine. But you've got to articulate why and show us some evidence as to why. Like any level of employment, if I go to my superiors and say, I need to sack Flossie, I can't just sack Flossie. I've got to show reasons and justifications. And if Jose can't do that, then he should have been told, well, no, you're going to have to play the guy. If he hasn't done you can't just get rid of him because you don't like his personality per se. But either way, if you then decide, right, the manager's right and we've got to get rid of the player, then you've got to do it sharply, quickly, and efficiently so that everybody's happy. Equally, if you disagree with the manager and say, look, we disagree, you've provided no evidence, there's nothing that we have seen that demonstrates he's a virus, you're going to have to keep him. If you then can see or sense it's going to create a rift in the dressing room and a power shift, you've got to act quickly on that and not give Jose another 9 months at the club. And this is just one example of how horrendously poor we were run. Horrendously poor that we were run. It really, really is. Footy Judge Mo here says, why are Man United the only big team that Jose Mourinho in his career left with a toxic relationship with the players? And it's a really great question there. And look, do you know what I think it comes down to, Mo? I don't think it's because the players are all bad and horrible. I don't think it was because Jose was a nasty, horrible man. I believe the people running the club handled the situations poorly and they allowed it to get out of control. They allowed it to absolutely fall apart. And that is what happens with poor leadership. I look at it like parenting. My kids fight each other all the time. But part of my job is to get in the middle, calm it down, talk to them both. And essentially in the end, no matter which one's right or wrong, Now give each other a hug and a kiss and tell each other you love one another. Now, I'm not saying you get Pogba and Jose a kiss and hug, right? But you have to find a solution to these problems. If I just let them keep fighting, it's very likely over the course of a number of years that they'll grow an animosity and a hatred towards each other that may never be able to be undone. And this is what I mean by being run well. So, Footy Judge Mo, you make a really good point. I don't think it's all, I've said all along, and you know, we do shows together. We're live together today, 3:30 on the Football Terrace. I never felt that the manager at the club, whoever he was the key and sole reason the club fell apart. I also don't think any particular player was the key or sole reason the club fell apart. They had their moments, but it's been about how we were run. Sometimes as well, this is the thing. A player and a manager won't get on. Personalities clash. It's about getting that resolved quickly rather than let it fester and manifest. And then the manager takes it out on this player. And then there's a dynamic and a war between these guys. It's all on the ownership, in my personal opinion. Simply Red here says, why do some fans take Sancho's freedom comments so personal? You would think they were the ones responsible for his experience at the club. Yeah, look, for me, I feel I didn't like how Sancho was treated by the club in the end. I don't like his comment. But equally, I'm more focused on Man United. The way we ostracized him and made him train with the kids and eat lunch in a car, I don't think his behavior warranted that. And this is what I mean. We were leaking stories about him. All these things I don't like the club doing. The way the Glazers allowed that to happen was horrendous. That is what creates this toxic environment. And then over the course of the years, the toxicity grows. I've given this example before, and I'll give it again. And then the new players pick up on this, and they don't even know why. It's the monkeys in a cage thing. There was an experiment done, I want to say in America, but it could be anywhere. It doesn't really matter where it is, where they put 10 chimpanzees in a big enclosure. And every time one of the chimpanzees went to walk up a flight of stairs, they sprayed every monkey with water. What then happened? Are chimpanzees monkeys? I don't know. I'm probably going to get called out by someone, but you get my point. What they then did, once they'd been in there for a month and that no one went on the stairs now, not one of these chimpanzees went on the stairs. What they then did is once a week after a month is they removed one chimpanzee and put a new one in. At the beginning, the new monkey would go near a certain flight of stairs to climb up it and play. But the other monkeys would grab him and pull him away and wouldn't let him go anywhere near the stairs. He didn't know why, because he wasn't getting squirted with water. Eventually, there was 10 monkeys in that enclosure who had never been squirted with water, but they wouldn't let any new monkey go near those stairs still. And they'd never experienced the reason why. And this, for me, when I heard about that, I listened to a podcast and I just thought that's the behavioral issues at Man United. It's just been one toxic thing after another toxic thing not being resolved at its base. And it has just manifested itself into everything else it's touched. And I'm never surprised when I read these stories. For me, what frustrates me is how fans focus on the Pogba or the Matic or the Jose rather than the root cause of these issues, which was the Glazers, which was Woodward, which was Myrtle, which was Arnold, the people running the club. They are the reasons this happened. Facts, in my view. Let's take some more of your comments here. I'd love to hear what you guys have got to say on this. This says here, Anderson was... You're away behind, said Anderson was Brazilian as well. Yes, he absolutely was. He absolutely was. Arsenal should be aware of... Okay, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about this stuff here. I want to hear your views and opinions on this here, please, people. I want to hear your views and opinions on this. Amorim needs to be protected then by the ownership, not only from players, but from fans before it gets toxic. I feel like that element a lot of that has been cleared out the club already, though. I do, because the one thing I feel like a lot of that has been done. He does need to be protected, but he also needs to be reprimanded if he does things wrong. But he can't be reprimanded publicly or in front of players. Like any structure in any business, any home. If me and my other half, okay, me and the mother of my children, if we have a disagreement, I'm not going to do that in front of the children. Especially if I've done something wrong or she's done something wrong, because you don't undermine each other in front of your children. In a place of work, if I'm the MD, you're the manager, and then there's the general members of staff. If you make a mistake and you mistreat one of those members of staff, we're handling that privately. I'm not going to reprimand you in front of them because it's going to undermine your authority, which could create a dynamic where a few people that don't like you go, oh, we got a chance here. We can pull a few more rugs out. We can create a few more issues that might get rid of this person that I don't like. The new manager might play me more. And these little pieces of behavior, they just grow and they manifest, and it becomes problematic over time. The people that run the club, I really feel this now in the modern day game, are so important. They're so important because you don't have managers of football clubs anymore. You have head coaches. Taking advice from a fellow Dane, Yulman is pronounced as this. Are you going to rewrite it then? Hey, you just wrote his name. That don't help me. There we go. What about how Sancho was allowed a 3 or 4 month leave for no reason? How about this casual training regime basically threw any discipline of the squad had out the window? So listen, I'm not saying Sancho was innocent. I'm not saying Sancho wasn't unprofessional. I'm not saying Sancho didn't deserve to be dropped. I'm talking about making a grown man eat lunch in a car and then leaking it to the press. I'm talking about leaking stories about his behavior and his attitude. Keep it all in-house. All them leaks will do is create more frustration and toxicity within a dressing room. I may have a boss I like and get on with. I'll give you a YouTube example. There are loads of YouTubers I like. But if a friend of mine's a YouTuber and they're out there digging people out and being nasty about them online and spreading lies about them, I'm calling that individual out to make them stop. Otherwise, you're just going to see toxicity grow within our community and people that we want to work with. My message will be, why are you doing it? Where's the mileage? Oh, he's horrible. Well, be a man and have a private conversation with him. Don't leak it to the press and create a further problem. So it's not about defending Sancho. It's about what's best for Man United. And I think we get so lost in this. Mackenzie here says the club should just do everything private and block any toxicity coming outside. Sometimes you have to do things in public. There are times where, because maybe as fans we're like, well, why isn't he back in the team yet? I don't understand. And so there are times where you have to bring it out there. But I absolutely agree with you. There has to be an element. There really does. There really, really does. Liam here says, if Sancho does return, where are we going to sell him to? Because I doubt many clubs will come in for him. Well, Liam, a lot of the stories are suggesting that Dortmund want him. So I'm not really stressed about that. I think there'll be a number of suitors. I really do. I disagree, Terry. Look how Schweinsteiger was treated by Jose, and he never complained. Also, an ultimate professional. So when you say that, though, his agent did. His agent went into the media and kicked off. Friends of Bastian Schweinsteiger kicked off. I think his agent said on a radio show that it's bullying. He says players like Pogba knew they could bypass Jose and get him out, and our weak board complied. So again, I'm not saying Pogba didn't do anything wrong. I'm stating the board are the key component here because they should have resolved that issue. And by the way, let's say Jose was wrong. You can still go, listen, Jose's been reprimanded, but you, the players, we are stomping out and drawing the line, and there's going to be no player power here. There's going to be no player power here. If they run it properly, and if they were strong, Chuffbridge, I don't think we'd be in the mess that we see today, personally. Black Cat Gamer says, it's the past, let's move on. I agree with looking forward in life, but you always have to revisit history to ensure you don't make the same mistakes again going forward. You have to know the past to avoid those same problems in the future. It's key to understand your history. Very, very key indeed. Listen, I want to thank every single person that has tuned in this morning. It means a great deal to us that you are here. Let's get the likes up and get them smashed right now. Of course, the key stories we led with today, the Cunha and the Edison deals are picking up a little bit of pace. New midfield on the horizon, potentially. We'd love to get your views on those players. How do you see them performing at United? Can we get those deals done and over the line? Until next time, everybody, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. Come check me out on the Football Terrace. If you like the way I speak about football, just search Football Terrace. It's very, very easy. Mark and Co are back this afternoon around 2 p.m. And then, of course, in the evening. No, it's Champions League night, so I don't have to live at 8 p.m. tonight. But either here or That's Football. You know where Mark and co will be. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.